Okay, it's 4:36 a.m. I'm driving to my father to take him from the hospital. I don't exactly know his status, but it should be. Well, if they are releasing him, he's probably better than he was. Maybe they gave him some drugs, maybe. Honestly, it could have been 100 things. I apologize if it's a little too dark for the camera. It technically has a night vision mode, but first of all, it's not very good. Second of all, it's just really narrowing the non-diopter. Oh my God, I am trying to remember words that I don't know the meaning of. If you increase the size of lens, you increase the amount of light that enters, and therefore you can have no, that doesn't make sense from that standpoint. I would have to think about optics a bit more, because that explanation I just gave didn't make too much sense. The point is that the larger the image is, if I have the same amount of photons for every type of image. So 4 times as big of an image, which is what this is, well, it means that 4 times less photons per pixel. But because it's 4:40 and in the middle of May, in like 20 minutes it should be fine. I did tell you that at night, between 11 p.m. and I think 6 a.m. there are higher limits outside, well, in the zones, right? Which is why I'm appearing to drive a bit faster, because 10 kilometers faster. I am not sure if it's everywhere, because here, for example, 14, I cannot drive over 40, at least theoretically until here, because there is no 40 and there was clearly a sign. Clearly another intersection. But when it comes to normal speeds, so speeds in a place where there are buildings, or there aren't buildings. How the heck do I translate this? Basically, like zoned residential areas and non-residential areas. They have separate default limits, and between 11 p.m. and 5 or 6 a.m. they are higher by 10 kilometers per hour. And in some cases, as far as I know, it also might work for higher, for different places, like for example Krakow being a big city with rather big streets, has a lot of streets that have 70 kilometers per hour limits. And they often at night, as far as I remember from my training, that was like 20 years ago, they also have a 10 kilometer per hour increase in speed. I mean, they are built almost to the highway standard. They could handle 110, so with ease. This guy is driving slowly. I don't know, to annoy me. To drag race when I was younger and stupider. Well, drag race, street race, something akin a quarter of a mile, but who's the fastest? previous owner of the Lancia Libra we had, diesel, 2-liter diesel, he spec'd it for maximum acceleration. It was hard to drive to the mechanic because you could gently, delicately touch the gas pedal with half-released clutch, and you would make it. You would, break a wall. Something that legitimately happened, by the way. Just thankfully it happened to the mechanics. I did warn him. But that thing had an acceleration that was not that far worse from McLaren F1 from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour. And if it measured from 0 to 180 kilometers per hour, it would be fantastic. Above 180, it's kind of started losing power, but it was capable of driving about 270 kilometers per hour. What it is in Imperial, 170 to 180 kilometers per hour. That's what, 140, 150 miles per hour. Although, I'm saying comfortably, not comfortably. It was over revving like hell, like it was on the verge of redlining. So, if that last gear was a bit longer, and the gear before that was slightly shifted, not only it would be an acceleration machine, but also it would break 300 kilometers per hour easily. Sometimes I wish I could make live videos. I don't think I can, but it's not like anyone would watch it live. Erin, who is most interested, is probably already in bed. Victoria, for some bloody reason, can't comment, and I have zero control over it. I have no idea why. I'm so annoyed. Now you should see better. First of all, it's almost 20 minutes later, so a bit more light, and second of all, it's, the area is more lighted. Okay. Biscuit for a biscuit. Of course, me street racing was decades ago at this point. I wouldn't even be talking about it if it wasn't like... It's basically all past you cannot prosecute it. That's the point. And the parts of it of which it aren't are like what, a couple of months, and it doesn't run. It keeps running out even if there is trial, even if there is stuff going on, so it never pauses. Statute of limitations. It doesn't mean that up until this day you can file a lawsuit, and after this you can't. It means that up until this day there can be proceedings. So if jury comes day late and it's past past this term, then sorry, you're bad. And as far as I remember, it's for both first and second instance. So for regular courts and appeals courts, 10 years for misdemeanors, 20 years for crimes, and 30 years for grievous, like horrendous crimes, like grand crimes or something like this. And there are a few in international law stuff that do not have statute of limitations, like genocide or crimes against humanity. Also, if you mix two violent crimes together, you usually get an enhancement in a way that bumps it from 20 years to 30 years. I sort of agree with that. I think there is a bit too much focus on vengeance right now. Put him in prison, put them in prison, stuff like this. After 30 years, there is a big chance that even without accountability, the person is really a very different person than when they committed the there's not a bad chance that they are actually better than they were back then. Driven here way before pandemic and only to the shop, not to the hospital. The hospital is now much larger than it was. It used to be Polish American Hospital in Prokocim, where they saved my brother's life when he was 8 days old. It's hospital for everyone. Where the fuck do I go here? I haven't been here in decades. Sign showed like where ambulances go, but that's all. Sec. I hate doing such things.
Przepraszam, SOR, budynek F. Czy wie pan, gdzie to jest? No bo ja tam na rondzie gdzieś miałem skręcić, nie wiem. Tak? Ale zaraz, czyli na pierwszym rondzie skręciłem dobrze w prawo? A, czyli na tym rondzie trzeba było skręcić w lewo. Dobra. Dobra, dziękuję bardzo.
Okay.